seeking adventure, some bound in chains, through battles waged and fought, through victory and pain, by test of their courage, our freedom was gained. In homage to those gone before us, the heroes of lands in the sun, we vow to join hands and to focus on building one Caribbean. Raise your voices high, sing of your Caribbean pride. Sing it loud and strong, feel our hearts beat as one. Celebrating song as we rise to heights where we belong. Sound the victory drum for Caracom.
Welcome, brothers. Welcome, sisters. Welcome to our program On Target. As soon as we start this program, you're free to pick up the telephone and give us a call. We never have a subject matter. We speak about anything: politics, religion, socio-economic issues, any topical or trending issue of the day. And most important, you can introduce your own topic. And we always want to reach out to some of our brothers and sisters, listen to us, whether it's from God Bless, whether it's Macken from Conference and all the crew, and a number of parts in Grenada, Carriacou, SGU. We have a number of people listen to us from SGU, and some from the ministries and some politician, and even our friend Onisto listen to us on a regular basis. So we welcome you to our program. You see, we believe we could change things, Today, the Catholics are celebrating the feast of St. Matthew. St. Matthew was an apostle, an evangelist, a very important character in the church. Jesus was walking and he called Matthew, Matthew, come and join me. Matthew was a tax collector. And in those days, people hated tax collectors. You see, the Romans had a system that when they conquer a country, they use the very people of the country to manage the country. You see, they didn't have manpower. They didn't want to explain all this manpower. So they had a tax system where if you had to collect $10 in tax, the most important thing, the Roman wanted the $10. They might tell you take $1 for yourself. That was what is in the legislation. $1 for you, 10 for us. But the Romans didn't care what you charge. What is most important, that they collect the tax. So there was no poor tax collectors unless they just start to work. And nobody liked tax collectors. Remember Zacchaeus? So Matthew was a tax collector. And Jesus Christ got it. And Matthew is a saint in the Catholic Church today. He's considered a saint. You see, and today, if you in Catholic Church all over the world, is the feast of St. Matthew, the apostle and the evangelist. There is always hope for sinners. This is a period when Christians must have to practicalize Christianity. Sometimes we walk around with 10 Bibles. You swallow the grammar book, you swallow the Bible. But are you practicing it? And that is the key. Humility and gentleness with patience. This is necessary for Christians to be humble, to be gentle, to have patience, and to bear with one another through love, and to preserve unity of spirit. You have to bear with one another. You don't want, Matthew used to take advantage of people, but Matthew changed. And people always looking for change. That's the reason in the democratic process, you have periodically, you have people change government. They might say, well, this government good, but this government promised to do better. So they change government. And the governments have to always be mindful of that. Humility, gentleness with patience, bear with one another through love, and to preserve unity of spirit. The government just come in power. Just come in power. And people have high hopes. But what did the government do? They go after the marginalized. Some people shivering in the boots because they're going to lose their job. No matter you see people mouth loud, loud, loud. When you want to take the income away from them, they panic. Sometimes not them that panic, their wife panic. Many, many years ago in the estate in Boulogne, they decided that people have to work Carnival Day. And they selected some of the men that preparing to play jab. Yay. All through the year, they practicing and preparing. And they name about 8 of them and they say you have to work. And 2 of the men kick up, they say they're not working, but the wife hold them down and bar them out because they was living in the back. And if they didn't work, they would have fired them and they had to move the home from the back. So people always want to take advantage on the marginalized. And that is why Gary made his name, When he called me, look for the marginalized. Marisha was there, but Marisha was seeking the interest of the intelligentsia. He had an important role in the country, but he was seeking the interest of the intelligentsia. Gary came and seek the interest of the marginalized, the estate workers. And they support him in droves. And that is why it was not easy for him to lose election in Grenada. When women tell you, this man make me no nylon panty. And up to today, they're saying it. This man that take us out from wearing straw house. Yes, caller, welcome. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yeah,
Go right ahead.
I'll just have some information concerning upon a social event. Yeah, very. In St. John, Northwest New National Party present a social event, location, the Grammar Plain Field. Date Saturday the 8th, 2020. Time.
Caller, stop again and start. Because I'm not hearing you clear, so I imagine the people outside.
Okay.
Tell us where the activity taking place. All right. Yes. So you see, it is very important. The marginalized, the people who come from the lower socio-economic strata. Governments must pay attention to them. They are the ones that determine which party win election and which lose. They must never be used. If you tell these people and them, if you stand up in front of them and you say to them, we are doing everything in our power to make you permanent, for you to have permanent jobs, they would understand. If you chastise the other government that come and say they should not put you on contract, they should make you permanent, and the people give you a chance and you decide to fire them, how that go work? That can't work. And that is where we must practicalize the scripture. We are all Christians. But Christianity we have to live the word of God. We have to practice it. A lot of time people jumping up talking about love. Sometimes you have to tell people what is love and show them how to love. Little children in the home, you have to practice how to love. You have to obey your parents. You have to help mommy sweep because you're big enough. You have to learn to take care of the other ones. You have to share. When you get 2 mango, don't go and measure and give mommy the biggest one. Bring a mango home for sister. You have to practice these things. You cannot make your little sister cry unnecessarily. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, my brother.
Yeah, I understand some information. Okay, so the St. John Northwest NNP Party presents a social event. Location, the Grammar Plain Field. Date, Saturday the 8th, October 2022. The time, 1 activities, domino, card, cricket, and football. On sale, fried chicken and chips, barbecue chicken and pork, grilled fish, and ice cold bar.
That is in Grandma.
Grand Mall,
Grandma.
Plainfield.
Right,
Yeah.
Grandma. That's St. John's.
Yes, St. George, Northwest.
St. George.
Northwest. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
So the action is in Grand Mall.
Yeah, October the 8th. Right.
Yeah. So you have a social get together. So you practicalize the story. You bring people together. And you want people to sit down and exchange ideas and play a little game and have a drink and all that is good thing. You want people to do things in peace and harmony. You want to maintain people's spirit. You don't want them to take on all the stress of the war. Russia at this stage decide to draft. They say it's not a complete draft, but they decide to call up more soldiers for the war. So you expect more war in Europe, not less. Yes, scholar. Welcome.
Good day.
Yes, my brother.
Yeah. Over the years, people build miles of drain and road. I understand one present minister was doing a drain and people say like transformation begin. But you don't know nothing to celebrate. A person could clean a drain and you're saying that transformation begin. When a man build miles of drain, but I see how they are laughing when I make news, you know.
First of all, I'm not certain they clearly know what is transformation yet. And perhaps they should tell people what they mean by transformation. Yeah. Otherwise, that could just be laughable.
Yeah. Mama, build a drain. It's more important than a man watch a drain and you're saying transformation. You have nothing to celebrate. Take him up here,
yes, my brother. You see, that is a challenge we have when we just criticize everything what people do. You cannot do that. You ought not to do that. You need to be more recognize people's contribution. We are a small country in Grenada, and we have to learn to respect one another. We have to learn to appreciate one another. No one is perfect. All of us would make mistakes. But if our opposition say the government has not done nothing, and you repeat that long enough and then people put you there, then people watching to see what you do. And then you can't go back and claim what the government does because this is the era when you have the information superhighway, where every word that comes from your mouth is on record. When we have this program, it is on YouTube, it is on Facebook, we share it with people. So even though we delete it on our Facebook page, it is still recorded. So somebody could go back and listen to the program if they miss something out of it, if they want to take issue with it, or if you deny you say something. So politicians have to be careful. And we are a Christian society. So like Matthew in the gospel, Matthew was a sinner. But now the Catholic Church considers Matthew a saint. So today they celebrate the feast of St. Matthew. Matthew was a Jew. So when Matthew writes, it will be different from when Luke writes, because Luke was a Gentile. And obviously Matthew was an educated man. He was a tax collector. He must check, he must do your accounts. He must raise the percentage. And he had wealth, he would have had other investment. And this whole session should encourage us to be humble, humility, and gentleness. With patience. We must bear with one another. And that sometimes is an act of love, just to be bearing with one another and tolerating one another. We don't have to be dismissive of one another. You can't try to deprive a man of his daily income, particularly a man that have a woman with children. Sometimes when I speak, I don't bother about men much. It seems as though the society practically forget men. So I will tell you that 5 women from this village, this thing happened to them. Because the impact, particularly when women have children, young children, and they are well supported by the man or the spouse. If he dies, sometimes they have a saying, when man dead, grass grow in the yard. Anything happening. So the woman have a family and the main income supporter in the family, the protector of the family, gone. And her door is vulnerable, grass growing she had. You know, the boughs of the forest would ravish her home. So when you have a government have to be mindful of that thing. And governments have to recognize that the majority of people in the country are people of lower socio-economic strata. Almost all countries in the world. Jesus Christ said, the poor you always have with us. So you must recognize, based upon the economic situation, if you take $1,200 away, $300 a week from a home, it is serious devastation. If a man working for $100,000 and you take $50,000 away from him, he still could function. So government presently come in, and government seems to be targeting the marginalized. And I have said before, it is not so impactful if government target workers in the higher echelons of society. Most time it affects the psychic, the pride, the ego, but it doesn't affect them much economically. It's a big difference. You could achieve greater political impact if you fire civil servants, because they're working for much more money, they're more organized. They would have savings in the bank, because all the credit unions in Grenada, all the banks and the financial institutions are extremely liquid. In other words, they have money. But it's not, these money don't come from the people of the lower echelons of society. It comes from the so-called middle class, the public officers, and the better paid individuals. They are the ones that saving the money. The people in the poorer, lower economic strata, they are the ones that they have to spend everything they get to make a living. It's harder for them. These are the people that go in the store and pay down on a shoe. They pay down. I didn't realize, I've been doing some research, and I realized the practice is still prevalent in Grenada. People pay down $20 on a shoe. Because a woman paid on a shoe and the store sell the shoe. She well vexed. She says 2 weeks she take, they sell the shoe. So governments have to be always mindful of the people in the lower socio-economic strata. This is one of the serious challenges of the National Democratic Congress. They seem to be always dismissive of the marginalized, always dismissive of the people in the lower socio-economic strata. Every time they're in power, we have issues with them. I kind of like politicians, and I'm kind of very soft on politicians. So there are a lot of things people would ask, but where were you on that? But I don't take much issue with what the politicians does in a lot of instances, except they start affecting the marginalized, the people in the lower income group. When you go there, we have a call on the line. Caller, welcome.
Punch, Mr. Big.
Yes, my brother.
Mr. Pierre, why would you say that the NDC is deceptive? That's what you use of the social. What the word you use? Your famous word, Mr. Pierre. Social stratification.
No, I said the National Democratic Congress have a history of not being sensitive to the people in the lower socio-economic strata, otherwise the marginalized. I said, every time the National Democratic Congress come into power, they disadvantage the people in the lower income group.
But Mr. Pierre, that could be your opinion, you know.
Well, that is why I say I always express my opinion, and I don't mind challenge. So let us look at it. When we had the structural adjustment program, the homegrown structural adjustment program, the people who was retrenched was in the people in the lower socioeconomic strata. For instance, marital workers, the estate workers, and they also cut social program. In 2008, when the National Democratic Congress came in power, the first thing they did was to go after the seed program and take out some old women from it. For instance, in the village of Paraclete, a minimum of 5 women was dropped out from the program. One of them was blind. One had 14 children. None of them went to secondary school.
So,
and people in the community, even some NDC in the community, was shocked. And now look at this occasion now. The National Democratic Congress come in power. When they offer newness, and the first group of people they're throwing out is people working for $300 a week.
Mr. Pierre,
isn't that a pattern?
You have proof to back up that, Mr. Pierre?
Well, I'm telling and you hear us say it bold, and you hear I'll challenge any member of the National Democratic Congress, even the Attorney General and Mr. Tillman Thomas.
But Mr. Pierre, I think it's unfair.
Well, it's not unfair if it is the truth.
I think it's unfair to me.
Well, it's not, caller. Caller. The structural adjustment program, what we call the homegrown program, was hailed in Grenada as the best program. But who paid the price? The people in the lower socioeconomic strata. During Mr. Blaze's period, Mr. Blaze didn't go after them. He went after senior public officers. He went after public officers.
But the structural adjustment program which you are talking about had worked well, didn't it?
Of course it worked.
There was a lot of money left in the treasury.
Of course it worked well because you cut social program. So the poor people in the country felt the brunt of the sacrifice. Look at what went on in Greece. The whole world was ashamed of the IMF, what they did in Greece. And from Greece, the IMF come in Grenada. Look at that difference in the program. No worker with government lost their job. Salary was not cut. And the government increased social spending.
Right.
And increased employment.
So I understand all that. So what you're trying to say here is that the NDC is affiliated to the middle class, upper class, and the NMP is associated.
No. I'm not saying that. Both of the political parties in Grenada are generally the same thing in terms of the macroeconomic policy. The problem with the NDC, as if in the DNA, as if in the very makeup, they feel they must go and attack poor people, children. Why? Why are they doing it? Let's not
forget. There is political ideology and political position when it comes to politics.
One of the challenges the National Democratic Congress have, brother, you will hear NDC calling people traitors. So anybody that leave NDC, they call them traitors. If you look at senior members of the NDC, their language is always more dismissive. It's a food people, you uneducated, always more NDC. So as a result of that, they develop within the DNA a kind of very dismissive attitude for the people in the lower income group.
But at this time, Mr. Pierre, we shouldn't be preaching hate. We should preach in unity, togetherness.
This is why I'm appealing to them. Why go after the road workers 5 years, them people work on the road? It's not the people who there do a bachelor's degree. It's the poor people that give work because of the economic situation in the world. And there are some economists who tell you, anytime you have a serious economic problem, you must go and invest in the poor. They say if you don't, it's going to increase social violence. It's going to increase prostitution, social decadence. So any sensible economist knows that. So what the government did, because you have 2,000 people lose their job in the hotel industry, St. George's University grind to a halt, and St. George's University contribute about 20% to the economy. Government had to go out now and fight to create jobs for the people in the lower group. Now the NDC coming power, there is no economic justification for this hostile and rash attitude to the people in Carriacou, to the people who are losing their job. We have $20 million there. They meet $20 million there in the COVID-19 program to alleviate some of the economic problems.
Why all this money was sitting there, Mr. Pierre?
Because it's 3 phases. You have the first phase, the second phase, and the NDC made the third phase. It wasn't sitting there. It's a program.
Oh.
It's a program. So NDC made the third phase now, and the third phase is $20 million. So why is it you going after the poor, the poor?
I understand your place.
And you see, if you support a party, and I'm disturbed because you might, some people call me all kind of thing, but I have a lot of friends that are in executive position in the National Democratic Congress.
I know that.
Most of them don't entertain conversation. It's difficult to get a strong NDC to talk to you. It dismisses you, you corrupt. You use a kid boy. The most dismissive people in this country is the National Democratic Congress. Even the rum shop they're running.
Yeah.
And the most, well, I tell you, I just hold on discussion. The hardest thing to get a good conversation with a member of the National Democratic Congress.
How did they get in power, Mr. Pierre?
Because the NDC always have a good propaganda machine. And let me tell you why. They criticize the government in everything, and hear what they say. They say, if you were on contract, how you going to the bank and take a loan? And I hear these guys are then walking in the road and saying they want to go in the bank. If we get permanent, we could go in the bank. The bank don't want to see these people.
No.
The credit union don't want to see them. But these people believe that if they are made permanent, and they believe the government could make them permanent, because the NDC tell them, the reason the government not making you permanent, because they have you there, they could fire you when they want. They went and lied to these people. Now, how could you do marginalized people that?
Mr. Pierre, all over the world, people are signing contracts in workplace. Eh?
Well, we know that, but we know that. The workers in England, the nurses is on contract. But they tell them that they say the government put them on contract.
But
now, why in Grenada? Why in Grenada at this stage you're going to do people that?
So you're saying that was propaganda, promising the people.
Well, no, this is thing the National Democratic Congress make in the lab. They sit down and make it in the lab. I don't know if they believe they would not have won the election and it take them by shock.
No, remember, Mr. Pierre, 1979 with the overthrow, that's the same political climate that was in the air, you know, this time around. It was the same. The country needed change. And the blind man could have seen that the NMP would have lost the election, you know.
Okay. What happened in 79? Maurice Bishop told the Rastafarian. Maurice Bishop lied down all in house in St. John and go and say police running behind him. Old people hide him and all kinds. They like him, you know.
No,
tall, red.
What led up to the
Well, that's what I'm telling you. Tall, red, handsome man. And he was a powerful spokesman. He promised the Rasta he go legalize weed. What did Maurice Bishop do? He jailed the Rasta. Maurice Bishop lock up the privilegencia. He even lock up Kennedy Boudlal and them. He turned Tivoli into a battle zone.
Because they wanted to do what they wanted to do.
The conflict in Tivoli started between the people and the church.
Yeah.
And then the police come and police brutality and then an ex-priest come in, didn't want to hear about Gary. Yeah. And Tivoli turned the battleground.
But I'm talking about like what led up to the revolution, the 13th of March,
But remember, we had independence and they didn't want independence.
1984.
The same year from the four was brimstone and fire. We want independence. Gary saying, when you accept engagement for your daughter, what next? Independence. We jumping up on independence.
And the election was 76.
And the election was 76. And Bishop said he have the youths. So Gary dropped the age of voting from 21 to 18.
Yeah.
And he got 9 seats and Bishop and him get 6.
Because there was an alliance, eh?
No, Bishop was an orator, you know. I have met nobody in Grenada who hate Bishop. Everybody like Bishop. Even gay rights, even the people in jail, even the money castrate, they still like him.
Yeah, Bishop was a hero.
Bishop was not a hero. Bishop had charisma and he could have speak.
But
and
he
a
was
tall, red, handsome man, people like him.
But he was a politician.
Yes, but not a good manager. Bishop jailed 3,000 people without charge, without trial or opportunity to defend themselves.
They was ruling by decree, by the people law.
But that is not what he promised the people.
But that's how the invasion.
But that is not what he promised the people. So he tricked them.
Remember, they suspended the constitution.
But he did not promise the people that. Ain't it? So you cannot have politicians going and deceive poor people, children. Mr. Blaze stay in Carriacou and he get a rocking chair, just quick. Ben Jones pass and he wave everybody. They don't open them up.
But
so the people...
Ben Jones was Prime Minister for a short while from the 19th of December.
Ben Jones never won Prime Minister.
But he got it automatically.
Well, yes, the man died.
Blaze died on the 19th of December.
You know Ben Jones, you know when Ben Jones come from university, he was supposed to come back and join Gary?
Yeah.
He promised to do that, but the GNP go and meet him on the airport with cars.
Okay.
And they take him.
Yeah.
And Gary said, when the people got upset, Gary said, no, he's in the right church but the wrong pew. Leave him alone. So all their life, Paul's people never tell Ben Jones nothing. They just don't vote in for him.
But Ben Jones was always loyal to Blaze, eh?
Ben Jones is loyal to nobody.
Yeah, because he stayed there 84 to 89 when all the others left 86 and 87. Remember, Paisley and Louis had led 86, he and Kenny Lalson. Then also you have Tillman, Reason, and Alexis left 87 and from the NDC, but Ben Jones stood by him.
Yes, because Ben Jones did not go with Alexis and him.
Right? But Kit Mitchell also stood by him.
Yeah, Kit win the election for the party and Blaze form a new party.
No, what happened?
Kit won the election.
There was a convention 89.
Well, yes, he won the election in the convention.
Who won the election?
Kit Mitchell won the leadership.
Yes, and then he changed to TNP.
No, Mr. Blaze had changed to TNP.
Yes.
Yeah.
He changed the party to TNP.
He could. So Mr. Blaze was not a Democrat.
But how, Mr. Pierre, how he changed that party to TNP?
When he lose the election, he say we form the party, the national party.
Yeah, but how? Because he was in government and
he just declared that. Just declared. And then GNP go with him.
So he left the party with Kit Mitchell.
But he don't leave the party with Kit Mitchell. Kit Mitchell win the leadership of the party.
Yeah, right. That was in Grenville.
Yes, in Grenville thing does that. And Arlene Walker go with Mr. Blaze.
I don't want to take all the talk, but
yes, Scholar. But Scholar, I honestly believe that now is a good time. Now is the feast of St. Matthew of the Apostle and Evangelist. And the National Democratic Congress must change the attitude against the marginalized. Redraw the letters they give these people and do not fire the workers on the road.
Understand me, please.
And I think if they do that, it'll be better for them. All the problem that NDC have now, they're creating it because of the bitterness, because of the thirst for green blood.
But they've been in the wilderness for 10 years.
And they don't learn. The same thing they do in 2008. They did not learn. They go after old people. You can't go after old people. You're going to upset a lot of your supporters when you can explain it, you can defend it.
I think what we need to do, give them some time. It's just 3 months.
Well, that is why you think I'm talking now for them to change their bad ways. They're on the wrong trajectory. Change, not to go and fire the people on the road. these people 4 or 5 years. Don't fire them. Otherwise, we're going to have some more voices coming against you.
What do you think about the young minister, Mr. Pierre, in the south of St. George? He mobilized a group of men and cleaned the drain. That was a good initiative.
Of course it is good.
Mr. Pierre, you remind me of 1979 to 84 when people was patriotic cleaning the street.
No. You forget bootstring in Gary days? We had every time a political party do that, the opposition is not joining it. I would have liked to see Andy encourage NNP to join him in doing that work. Every time a political party come, they did that. When NDC come in 2008, they said there is no money in the treasury, so the workers come out and walk the road free. For about 2 weeks, the workers were in free, and NNP watching them.
And don't forget, there was an economic crisis from 2007.
Well, you always have an economic crisis in Grenada.
But don't forget that one, eh?
You know, that is when leadership counts, when you meet crisis.
And Buck had to manage the economy.
But he didn't do well at all.
Huh?
He didn't manage well. He sold 13 pieces of property, including property that was not his.
I don't have information.
Well, you could always challenge me. I have. I tell you, I'm tongue long, you know. The NDC sold 13 pieces of property, even what was not theirs. They're panicking without management.
They did a lot of development, you know, Mr. Pierre. They was responsible for the Guam Fish Market, the Grenadian Market.
I have never.
They bring in Windfresh. They bring in Baran.
I've never chastised any government for the work they do. I tell you, politicians.
What they failed to do was do the proper PRO.
The NDC always do too much PRO. What NDC have to do? Practice love. That is what they have to do. They talk love as soon as they come in power. They're searching for green blood. Practice love among the poor. That is what NDC have to do. Don't interfere with old people.
But Mr. Pierre, we have to look at the interception of the political parties from 87. The history, we must know the history. You know that?
Yeah, well, I tell you, in tongue long, I do them since in great days.
So, Mr. Pierre, nice talking.
Yes, brother, it's always good to hear you.
Have a nice day.
Yes, and we have you welcome somebody else. Welcome to give us a call. We had a nice chat with our brother for quite a while, so we will gladly entertain another phone call. They start the fire now. They're complaining about smoke. That is from my brother. Yes, I think the National Democratic Congress had a glorious golden opportunity to come in power and don't go after green blood. That's all. You offer newness. Yes, caller, welcome. Caller, welcome.
Welcome, Mr.
Yeah, we need an interruption. Thank you.
Yeah, as long as I'm listening to you, and you know what I suggest? I think the NNP Community Party have shape and destruction based on everything you say. The NNP Community Party have no. Can you imagine Mr. Cox had a news conference last Sunday, and he encouraging the people, the businessmen and women, to say, can you believe that from comes from a politician encouraging the business people to say, they have just not to give it people.
I'm not hearing that. You might have to speak a little louder. What Mr. Cox encouraging businessmen? You have to say a little louder.
Encouraging businessmen to tell the people that they have, so they will be able to get the benefit from the
that is not true. That is not true. Caller. That is not true. I think
yes,
that is not true.
I say the businessman could say it's all stock they have, so they wouldn't get the benefit.
So you want the businessman and drop the price on the old stock? Caller. You want the businessman to drop the price?
The man say that the businessman go say it's old stock they have, so they will have to pass.
So which businessman will go drop price on old stock? Unless the thing.
So you got old stock forever then?
Well, if you have a 6 month storage, when your old stock done,
So what are them? Let me tell you something, Mr. Pierre. On the dock, every day they claim goods on the dock. Every day, every single day, they claim goods on the from morning to evening.
So you think all the goods that when a company buys goods, you think
when you buy stock today, it will start.
How long you think the stock that a businessman have is going to last?
Some last a month, some last a month. Let me tell you something, Mr. Pierre. You in the television, yeah, some will last, some stock will last longer than some.
Okay.
So when you tell some people, when you say it's all stock you have, you just get new stock. I'm gonna tell people it's all stock you have.
But is it
okay? Mr.
Well, what you say?
Well, if you could tell me this man
we have to try and avoid saying these things. You watch me. Oi, caller. Caller. I financially embarrassed. I suffering from monetary instability. Don't come on the radio and call people thief. Caller. I want to have a conversation with you. Caller.
That is the press conference at doom and gloom. Thank you.
Yeah, we want to have conversation with our callers. When we speaking, sometimes we mouth running faster than we brain. And sometimes we make mistake. So sometimes we interrupt you. You can't come on the radio and call people thief. You can't do that. You're not supposed to do that. Now the person who hosts the program and the moderator have to intervene. And I mean, the system might accept it that you mouth sleep. But you can't continue when I'm begging you, hold up, because you can't call people So we have to avoid that. The same thing I say, we have to have gentleness with patience. Bear with one another. Through love and spirit. We could go to church and talk about loving. But if when it comes from church, we want to kill the neighbor fowl because he fly on the veranda. No, we have to practice Christianity. When you eat in your Kentucky in your house every day and the neighbors smelling the Kentucky and they can't buy Kentucky. And not one day giving a child peace. So now they just hate you just for that. Because they ain't getting piece of Kentucky to eat. So we have to be responsible. If your child have one amount of toys, and because a lot of working people these days hardly making children, sometimes one and a half child are making. You have a lot of toys, you get a lot of friends. Share the toys with the neighbors. Because later on, your child go marry the neighbor daughter. And she will remember how much toys he have and she didn't have. And she might bust her head. So we have to grow together in the community. When you have your job, the National Democratic Congress come in power. And after the first month pay, economic shock take them. Because you see, they repeat over and over that the NNP was making a windfall. They say the people living in hope and NNP living in happy here. So when they see the pay they get shocking. Immediately, they add $2,000 to the traveler. But in the same vein, cleaners, people doing cleaning in Carriacou and in Grenada lose their job. People working for $1,200 a year, a month. People working for 9 years. How could you? And you're using the excuse that these people were gone. Well, you had a lot of NDC people that they was painted in yellow, teachers, government senior employees, they had yellow clothes. So how could you do that? You did not even give the people an opportunity for due process. You incorporate political victimization as your policy. So some people only go afraid to squeak. That is why the girl come to me. And why do you think she come? I could go and talk to her boyfriend and she mad. I tell her she had to go to a psychologist. She can't come to me. Next thing the boy say, a fancy young girl. Particularly where you want an excuse to go in Trinidad. He can't take talk. He afraid culture man on him. They'll give him talk. So he know he heading for Trinidad as soon as he loses his job. But I don't want the government fired. Don't go and interfere with this road program. It is not necessary. You don't have an economic reason. It is not justified. It's only because you're vindictive and you decide to go after green blood. And some of your supporters must put you sit down and explain to you. Show some humility. Show some gentleness with patience. Bear with the opponent one time. This is why you have a number of people who leave the NDC and go in NNP are elevated to high status and rank within the party. But anytime the reverse is true, John B take them. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yeah, Mr. Pierre,
Yes, brother.
the caller was Michelle at preaching here. I ask a question. As a business, $80 for a bag of sugar, and you're selling too much sugar. Okay, and then you get a new stock, and you're selling a bag of sugar for a new stock is 60. So because you get, see, what you really do with the old stock, you will bring down the price. You bring down the price.
No, normally,
you at the same price.
no, caller, normally you would not do that. Normally, you're going to sell out your old stock first. You might even sell
Exactly.
a 2 bag in the new stock for the old price. If you are a very unscrupulous businessman. If it's a commodity that could spoil, it's a commodity that could spoil, you're going to look at your old stock and your new stock and maybe cut the price a little because you don't want it expire on you.
Yeah.
But if it's goods that have a year expiry date, you don't bother with that. You don't even buy. You're selling your stock first.
A lot of businessmen does that because if once they buy the old stock and the old stock is 80 they pay for a bag of sugar, and they sell it at 2 pounds sugar $4, they will sell all the old stock at this other price. When they finish and the new stock which they buy for a bag of sugar, about $6 per bag, and they might sell for $3.
Yeah.
A lot of business does that.
And that you see, I think the point they're making, based upon the action the government take, there is no guarantee that the savings will be passed on. Even the government acknowledge that. And that is what Mr. Cox is saying. There is no guarantee. And he give why. If you have stocks for 6 months, he went on to give further explanation. But there is no guarantee that the savings will be passed on. You're looking on the goodwill of the businessman. There are some supermarkets that try to keep the price as low as possible. But when this thing going in a village, one village shop quite up in the corner, which price are dropping? Come on. It wouldn't drop. So thank you, caller. And we have our brother Onisto, man. If NNP have to come back in power at any time, they have to change their leadership and reborn as the new NDC did in 8 months and took back the government, or else they will be in opposition for a very long time. Mark my words. But it doesn't matter whether NNP comes back in power in the immediate, in the next 5 years, or the next 10, or the next 15. This is not the issue here. The issue is you going after the marginalized in Grenada. What benefit it has for you to be going after the marginalized? There is no benefit. What benefit it has for the National Democratic Congress to incorporate political victimization as part of the policy? No government, no political leader has done that post-84. So why introduce that now? Because if you do, and you don't change it, when NNP come in power, whether 5, 10, or 20 years, they go do the same thing. Yes, caller, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr.
Yes, my brother, welcome. Good to hear you, man.
And to the listening public. I want world leaders and Caribbean leaders to realize that the third world war is very imminent. We seem to forget what happened Saturday, September 4th, 1939 to September 4th, 1945. It was World War II. It claimed the lives of over 75 million.
Russia alone was 38 million. And what followed that war was epidemic, starvation, famine. Was all over the world, but still we continue to support war. In the years following, the war, Sir Winston became one of the most feared politicians and most hated one. And he was always disliked, most by his own party. As a minister, the Conservative, which he told them that Hitler was planning war. So it was time to arm the English. But the people cheered at him. He told them to arm and prepare for Hitler invasion, but he knew that the Navy was ill-equipped because he was working with the Navy. After he became Prime Minister, he threw less words of defiance across the channel to Hitler. One of the greatest war geniuses that the world ever saw was Winston Leonard Spencer Churchill. After he became Prime Minister, he spoke to the nation and they become unafraid. He spoke electric words. We shall defend our island whatever the cost may be. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the hills, in the fields, in the street. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender. He told them all he had to afford was blood, sweat, and tears. All NATO and America want to do is commit atrocities to stir up the Third World War. The Caribbean leaders must try to stop that. Russia would not give up, neither NATO. No way until the Third World War starts. All we checking on is gas price much down under. Where we will get the gas? We have to try and save that, save the world. And right now it will be a nuclear war. Thank you, Sir Pierre.
Yes, scholar, I am in full agreement with you. The Caribbean and Africa is not doing enough to avoid the Third World War. Caribbean leaders is not doing enough to avoid the Third World War. African leaders are not doing enough. They pick sides. This is a time that Africa should show leadership and work with the United Nations and come up with a peaceful solution. You cannot humiliate a great nation as Russia. After the First World War, they punished Germany too much. That's why Germany come back. And they realized their mistake in World War II. So that is why they rebuild Germany. They divide Germany and they rebuild Germany. And we are making that mistake now. Caribbean leaders, perhaps these young leaders in the Caribbean don't know our history. And anytime you forget history, you're doomed to repeat the past. African leaders don't know our history. And these leaders should be working with the United Nations to strengthen the United Nations to come up with a peaceful solution to avoid the Third World War. Instead of that, in Grenada, we're looking for green blood. This type of discussion is not taking place, not even on the radio. So, my brother, you are most welcome and your contribution is highly appreciated on this platform. There is no question about that. The Third World War is more imminent today after Russia decided to call up the reserves. You cannot rub Russia's face in the ground. You have to give them a way out so they could walk with dignity. President Putin thinking about Peter the Great, and he has nothing to lose. Nothing to lose. So the West have to give him a way out. Both sides are trapped. They need intervention of other blocs, and Caribbean leaders are silent. And African leaders are divided. So Europe and Russia will go to war. And I don't think anything in the world could stop them. China perhaps hoping that they mash up one another and they survive. And India perhaps is hesitant and afraid. What we need now is mediators, moderators. The role of the Pope in the world is significantly diluted, and countries perhaps wouldn't heed his call. The other religious group preparing for the world end is doomsday religious group. But I agree with you. World War III is imminent. And while that is taking place, our leaders in Grenada, unjustifiable, no justifiable reason. They have no economic reason except preaching political hate. I believe that the government should recall the letters they give these people and cease and desist of persecuting the marginalized in our country. The workers who are staying, losing income now, is the workers on the road. They've been working for 4 or 5 years, and they start to feel a sense of permanency. And now they stay in deep economic defeat for no justifiable reason. No justifiable reason. Because the treasury pregnant. There is money available to provide assistance for them. I hear some rumor that at the end of September, they're going to go. No justification. When you put these people out of job, and culture man get a good joke to laugh about, the communities will get more bitter. And this is the challenge that the National Democratic Congress, because of the political juvenile nature, cannot understand. They have diluted the significance of most of the experienced people. So they're only tagging on, hatching on to them. They're not taking the advice. And I don't think the Attorney General have much political virtue. So obviously, she is not a leading state person, and maybe of very little help to a party that is so angry and bitter and looking for vengeance. We're back with you again tomorrow between 12 and 1, and we welcome you to make your contributions and to punch. Thank you.
Sing it loud and strong, feel our hearts beat as one. Celebrating song as we rise to heights where we belong. Sound the victory drum for Caracum. The great and diverse be our ethnicities. The bonds that unite us are stronger than these. We dine, we pray, we love. We dance and we play. We relate to each other, rest in your way. Today as a people united as one, determined and steadfast we stand. We look to a brand new horizon, the future now firmly in